episode 22, and this week we look at earning passive income on Cardano and retiring on staking rewards from ADA. Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Learn Cardano podcast, the podcast where we break down all the ins and outs of Cardano so that you can work out how you can earn a passive income from holding ADA. I'm your host, Peter Buey, and we'll be looking into specifically the strategies behind holding cryptocurrency assets and why you'd be interested in holding ADA for an extremely long time, or some of the assets that come out of the Cardano ecosystem. So this episode will be looking all into that, the different strategies where you can earn passive incomes and possibly retire with ADA. Okay. All right. Now, before we get into any of that, let's get into the news for this week. All right. So there's not much in terms of news for this week other than the price of ADA increasing by 31% over the last 7 days. So since I last recorded this podcast episode, the price of ADA has jumped astronomically compared to any of the other altcoins that are out there at the moment. As a comparison, Bitcoin has only risen by 6.27% in the last 7 days, and Ethereum has only risen 1.83% over the last 7 days as well. So it is increasing. The two other major cryptocurrencies have risen over the last 7 days, but nowhere near as high as what Cardano has, which is absolutely amazing to see. Now, I do like to remind everyone, this is just pure speculation. It's just my opinion. This is by no means financial advice. And don't forget, listen to the outro music right at the very end where the disclaimer goes through all of that. So if you haven't, checked that out. Now, personally, the price is a little bit too hot for my liking. So I'm going to wait for a correction to happen. It may happen. It may not happen. And I may miss out on another dramatic rise. But I'm going to sit back and wait for a correction to happen to load up on some more ADA before it goes up again in value over the course of smart contracts being released. So I'll just be sitting back and seeing what happens. In some other news, the MinSwap FISO, or Fair Initial Stake Offering, is going quite well. They have selected 10 stake pools to be their distributing pools for their MinSwap tokens, and those pools are slowly gaining more and more delegation over time. Now, a really good idea and a good way to participate in this FISO, or Fair Initial Stake Offering, is to create a wallet and move some ADA into that wallet and then delegate to one of these pools. You can delegate to one of the smaller pools. If you look at the fiso.minswaps.io website, you'll be able to see a list of the stake pools that you can delegate to, and they've ordered from the smallest to largest. And if you just choose the one that's on the top of the list, you'll be able to participate in this entire process. And it really helps with the decentralization of the Cardano network because you're distributing your extra ADA tokens over to one of these smaller stake pool operators. So it helps build up their little stake pools for a little bit, and helps you get some MinSwap tokens as well. Now, I'll be talking a little bit more later in this episode in the main topic about why you'd want to pick up some MinSwap tokens or some of these other tokens across the ecosystem. So there's quite a few different ones that are coming out. I've interviewed them, almost all of them, and you can find all of the interviews on our YouTube channel go to the website, cardano.com.au, and follow the links to the YouTube channel there. It's the easiest way to do it. Now, Fund 6 of Project Catalyst has just been released for idea propagation. So people are starting to submit their ideas for the various different challenges on Project Catalyst. So if you have something that you want to contribute as an idea, now is the time to do it. Go to cardano.ideascale.com and you can check out the latest Fund 6 challenges. Now, I've teamed up with Nick Nikiforakis. I've interviewed him in the previous episode 21, and he has that Cardano phishing bot. And with all these scams, the price of ADA is scaling up at the moment. There are more and more of these scams coming out. And I've teamed up with him to work on developing that anti-phishing tool to be able to integrate more so in the Cardano ecosystem. So Nick has put up the proposal for it, and we are starting to go through the process of seeing what we need to do and what we're going to be developing so that the rest of the Cardano ecosystem, developers, wallets, DEXes, whatever it may be, can start using these tools so that we can identify these scams, alert the users that are using these tools, such as the wallets or DEXes, before anything bad will happen. So hopefully we can protect some, especially the new Cardano users. We want to make sure their user experience is as safe as possible, protected from these scams, and educate users about these scams as well. So the proposal's up. Please check it out. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. Let me know what you think. I think this has legs, unlike my last proposal that I put up. It was all a learning experience, I guess. All right. So please check that out. The proposal is up, and would love to hear your feedback. Now, last but not least, a little bit of news about our stake pool. Our stake pool has been growing astronomically at the moment. It's, well, not astronomically, it's growing really well. It's finally hit its 6-month mark. So happy 6 months to our stake pool. We released it on the 22nd of February 2021, and today is the 23rd of August of recording this podcast episode. So it is officially 6 months old. Hooray! Yes. Now, I remember back in the early days, like trying to get a delegate has been, or was, incredibly hard. I'd probably go through multiple epochs where I might get one or no delegates coming to the pool at all. But more and more came over time. Things that I was doing was working well. We managed to pick up some large delegates, and looking back, it's been quite an experience. We also managed to pick up the quite large IOG, the Input-Output Global delegation to our pool, the 3.2 million ADA, and that is going to wind up very soon. So just a heads up for anyone that is delegated to our stake pool, we will be losing that 3.2 million ADA at some point in time when the IOG delegation gets cycled and moves out of our pool and off to another small stake pool. Now, when the delegation came in, I set a goal for the pool and what I wanted to achieve with having that delegation. Now, when the delegation came in, we were sitting around the 8.6 million delegation mark, and it's taken a little while, but we have just under 11.6 million ADA delegated to the pool now. So that means we've had that increase of 3 million ADA. So just a little bit more, that extra 200,000 ADA would reach the 3.2 million amount that IOG have generously delegated to our pool. So when they leave our pool, we'll drop back down to under that 10 million mark, hopefully around the 9 million mark. But it means that the growth of the pool was enough, so much, in fact, that we actually made up for that shortfall. So we would have gained more delegation past having the IOG delegation. So that's absolutely phenomenal. And I'd like to again thank all of our delegates to our stake pool for being so dedicated for the pool, delegating to us for such a long time and continuing your delegation as well. So big thank you to all of our delegates that are doing that. It just helps with so many things. It keeps me going for the podcast. It keeps me going for the YouTube channel. It keeps me going for writing more content, tutorials, and working actively in the Cardano community. It's been quite a little journey so far, but 6 months is nothing. This is a 10, 15-year plan for me. So it's a very small step in a long journey. So we've still got a long way to go. Again, thank you so much. All right, that's it for news for this week. I still haven't received any updates in regards to the Cardano Summit and what is happening there. It's coming around the corner, and I do have to make some moves in regards to organising venues here in Brisbane, Australia. And fingers crossed, people can make it there. I do have a link up though on the meetup group. I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. So if you are in Australia and you can make it to Queensland, please check out that link and put your name down as an RSVP so I can have some numbers so I can organize a venue better. At the moment, I'm aiming for something small, something around the 50 size mark, 50 people. I don't want to go too big for this one because of COVID restrictions, etc. So we're just going a little bit smaller with a slightly bigger venue, so we have a little bit more space and we can just chill, relax, and go through a lot of pretty cool presentations for the day. And hopefully we can live stream it too for the rest of Australia that can't make it. Okay, all right, that's it. That's all the news updates for this week. So let's get into our main topic. All right, so for our main topic for this week, we are talking about being able to retire on ADA and live off potential rewards for the rest of our lives. Or maybe even cashing out on all of our ADA and actually seeing if that is enough to retire for the rest of our lives as well. Now, back in the 80s, my auntie had inspired me to save up as much money as possible so that I could possibly live off the interest that a bank would pay me for having money in the bank. Now, that was a pretty cool strategy. Interest rates were high. In Australia, they even went up to the 16% mark, which was extremely high, really good. So if a crypto asset gave you that much as a return, I'd be jumping up and down for it. I think that's a pretty good return. Now, the banks were giving that kind of return back then, but if you look at the current economic environment at the moment, it's nowhere near that anymore. With the amount of money being pumped into the economy for the pandemic and the interest rates as low as they are to try and stimulate the economy into spending, it is incredibly hard to have a bank account that is earning you interest and paying you a certain amount so that you can live off. Those days are pretty much gone. If you watch an episode or an interview that Elon Musk did with, I can't remember who it was with, but I'll try and find it and post it onto the show notes. But he was talking about the money that Tesla was holding in their bank accounts in Europe were losing its value because of the amount of inflation and the low interest rate that was happening in their banks. So the amount of interest was so low and the inflation rate was higher than what they were earning in terms of interest. So technically, they were losing money. And that's the scenario that a lot of people are falling into now. It's that scenario of the higher inflation, low interest rates, and the value of their dollar or a currency falling over time. So it's a really cool thing that we, as cryptocurrency speculators, investors, whatever you want to call it, we have this option to convert our fiat currency into ADA and being able to stake our ADA for rewards and potentially ride up the gains over the years. Now, it's a really cool concept. It's really cool that everyone's jumping on board and doing it at the moment. But what we're going to do is find out if that strategy will work in regards to crunching some numbers and then looking at some other strategies that are potentially available for us in the Cardano ecosystem in regards to liquidity mining, yield farming, and all these other really cool DeFi aspects. So let's get into the scenario of if we can actually retire on ADA. So first off, we have to paint the scenario and work out exactly how much ADA we need or how much money we need. In Australia, it is possible at this point in time to live off a $40,000 salary, pay for your rent or a fairly cheap mortgage, and to pay for your living expenses in general. So if you're living in one of the big cities such as Sydney or something, $40,000 will not cut it. $40,000 in Sydney will get you pretty much nothing. It's not possible to live off. I've tried. Trust me, I've tried. In Sydney, you need at least $100,000, $120,000 to live comfortably in the CBD metro area, the inner west, North Shore, or eastern suburbs. It's quite expensive. But if you want to move further out and you can live off a $40,000 minimum wage, it is very well possible. You live off grid, you can live in a tiny home. There's lots of options there. So you can retire and live comfortably on a $40,000 wage. So I'm going to use that as a base number. Now, if you find it hard to follow these numbers, please jump onto the website. I'll stop right here. Jump onto the website at cardano.com.au/EP EP022. And on there, I have all the numbers that I use for the calculations. I also have our online calculator there, where you can punch in your own numbers and work out exactly how much ADA you need right now to be able to retire, or how much ADA you need in the future with a possible price change of ADA so that you can retire in 4, 5, 10 years' time. Okay. So anyone that wants to check that out, please check that out and continue listening to the episode. All right. So on 40,000 Australian dollars, we first need to divide that by 73. Why 73? That's how many epochs there are within a year. So we want to work out how much money we need per epoch, those every 5 days. And then from that, we can work out how much ADA we need as a reward every 5 days. So if we divide 40,000 by 73, we get 547 Australian dollars. So that's how much money we need per every 5 days. That kind of lines up with a weekly wage, weekly salary for someone as well. So if you just increase that by a little bit, that's roughly minimum wage as well. So that's probably right. So if we take that 547 and divide that by $4, $4 being the current price of ADA in Australia at the moment, it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? I know we're all trying to chase that $3 USD mark, but here we already passed $4. We did that $3 thing ages ago. Anyway, so if we divide 547, so if we divide 547 divided by 4, we get 136, or let's round up, 137 ADA per epoch. So that's how much we need. Now, if you're looking at your rewards at the moment and you're only getting a couple of ADA, yeah, maybe we need a little bit more stacked in there to be able to reach this goal. Now, if we try and work out how much ADA we need to get that type of return every epoch, we need to punch into the calculator that I have on the website a couple of numbers in the initial investment stage to see the per epoch return. So I punched in the numbers here, and to get 137 ADA per epoch, it's roughly 200,000 ADA. So for some people, they're there already. I know there's a lot of people delegated to our pool, and they have more than 200,000. They're in the millions, and they can retire at that particular price quite comfortably. So if you're wanting to make enough ADA per epoch for 2 people or 3, then just double that number. So you need 600,000 for 3 people to live off the 40,000 Australian dollars per year, and it's very well possible. So that's the numbers there, and they're at the retirement stage as it is, so they're good. But people that aren't, such as myself, have to work on this, and we have to try and gain more ADA to actually reach that mark. Now, there is a silver lining though. If we can't gain more ADA, we need the price of ADA to increase. Now, if we double it to $8 per ADA token, which is quite possible, the current market cap of ADA can double from what it is now to what it would take it to be for the price of ADA to double. It is very well possible. So we can put that as a plausible scenario of where we can get to. So if the price of ADA got to $8, we would need about 68.5 ADA per epoch as a return, and we need to be holding 100,000 ADA. So that's not too bad. It's a lot better than the 200,000, but still quite high for a lot of people trying to get to that point. So we're going to have to be able to earn quite a bit of ADA over the next 5, 10, 20 years to be able to get to that point. And it all is very well possible. You could be putting away a little bit of fiat currency every single week, converting it to ADA and increasing your ADA bags to be able to reach that 100,000, 200,000 ADA goal to be able to live off the returns on ADA overall. So it all is very possible. Now, how much money can you actually make, or how much ADA can you make from staking? Now, it varies from pool to pool, and it varies because of the performance of the pool, and also because of the protocol itself. So in regards to the performance of a pool, it really depends on if the pool is run properly. If there's any stuff ups on the pool, if there's any misconfigurations, if the pool itself goes down or has some downtime or whatever it may be, that means that the pool isn't producing as much or any blocks where it should be producing blocks. So that could be a problem. Now, if it happens for one epoch, happens for 2 epochs, it doesn't really affect things because there's 73 epochs in a year. So if they miss 1 or 2 epochs, it's not a huge deal, especially if your ADA bag is quite small. But if you're holding millions and millions and there are multiple epochs, continuous epochs where there's low rate of return, there are issues with the pool in general and it's not minting blocks, then that's when it's going to have an impact on you yourself. So that's when the pool needs to step up and actually get back into gear, back into action to be able to get things up. Or you can start looking for a new pool. So unfortunately, you may need to switch pools at that point. But if the pool's performing well and it's doing everything as it should be, but it's also unlucky or it happens to stumble across a slot battle where 2 pools battle it out for a particular slot to be minted, that can happen too, and it comes down to bad luck. I know from our pool right now, this current epoch of recording this podcast episode, we just have an unlucky epoch and we have only 5 blocks assigned as opposed to the possible 10 that we're supposed to be getting. So, it's just an unlucky epoch. The Ouroboros, the protocol that defines how the slots are working and who mints what, just said, sorry guys, you're getting 5 this time. But in reality, it's because the last 8 epochs we over-minted. We were quite lucky and have had a higher than average return. So the protocol is just saying, hey, you're earning a little bit too much. We're just going to knock you down a little bit so that you have a slightly lower return for this one to try and average you out to that 5.5%. That's the protocol. That's how it works. Now, if the pool is operating well, you'll get that 5.5%. So depending on how much ADA you have, all you need to do is work out that 5% and divide it by 73, and that's how much you'll get returned on every epoch. Now, people have also asked how much ADA is actually staked at the moment. So out of the entire circulating supply and what's available in the Cardano ecosystem, how much ADA is locked away in staking. Now, first off, ADA isn't locked away. At any time, these people can move their ADA in and out of their wallets. They can sell if they want, they can trade if they want, and they can actually sell and trade while still staking. So the snapshot that happens every 5 days at the end of the epoch is when the wallet balances are recorded and broadcasted on chain. So this happens at every 5 days at the end of the epoch, and in between you could be moving ADA in and out. So technically it's never really locked in. You just need it in your wallet at that point in time to be staked and counted as possible rewards for the calculations. So it's not really locked in, but the total amount that is being staked at the moment is around 70% of the entire ecosystem. And that's a huge amount of ADA that is sitting in people's wallets. Now, if I just pull up a little tool here, if you go to pool.pm, now this is a live tracking tool that will tell you what's happening on the blockchain right at that point in time. It's a really cool website that allows you to look at what's happening. And if I'm looking at the numbers right now, the percentage of staked ADA is 70.2%. The amount of ADA that is staked, or out of that, the actual number, is 23.03 billion ADA. That's a lot of ADA being stored away in people's wallets, staking for rewards. And if you want to know, this is another really cool statistic. The amount of delegations, or the amount of wallets being delegated, is at 776,400 wallets being delegated to stake pools. That's a huge amount of wallets, a huge amount of users being staking into the protocol. It's pretty cool to see. So now we know how much you could possibly need to retire. Of course, these scenarios are different for every people around the world, and maybe your situation is very different as well. But now we know how much ADA we need to retire, and we know possibly maybe how much ADA's price will rise by in the future. Maybe it can double, it's a fairly possible scenario. And we know how much ADA is being staked away in particular wallets on the blockchain. So it's quite a high number, a nice 70%, which is really cool. But what are some other strategies in regards to being able to earn more income or more rewards on staking or anything else that's out there? Now, if you're already missed the boat, some people feel like they've missed the boat on ADA. There are other opportunities that you can jump in on to be able to earn more rewards on. Now, in 2020, DeFi became a really big thing, and decentralized exchanges became the hit and a really good way of yield farming or earning interest on holding your tokens in a smart contract. And this is coming to Cardano very, very soon. All of the decentralized exchanges, which I have been interviewing in the month of July and early month of August, are providing this type of service. So, for example, let's look at MinSwap. MinSwap is one of the very first ones that I interviewed, and they're doing a FISO, or that first initial stake offering at the moment, to distribute out their MinSwap tokens. Now, they need these MinSwap tokens out in the ecosystem so that people would stake them to the liquidity pools that they're creating. And when you do this, you need to stake an equal amount of MinSwap tokens with the ADA that will be delegated to the pool, so that when people are trading between certain cryptocurrencies such as ADA and MinSwap, they can do so because the liquidity is there. It's the ADA that you've locked into a smart contract that's there at the moment. Now, each time someone does a trade on these liquidity pools, there is a fee that happens. So if I was going to MinSwap and doing a swap, I would have to pay a fee. So that fee, depending on how the protocol is set up, would either go to the protocol itself or to the person that is providing the liquidity to the pool. So if I was to provide a certain amount of ADA and MinSwap tokens, and I may get 0.05% return on that transaction for that particular swap that someone did. So I don't know what the protocol's fee structure is. We would have to look that up on their white paper. But it's usually something, a very small marginal fee that happens on top, and that gets distributed to the people that are providing the liquidity to the pool. So over time, by me just locking in MinSwap tokens and ADA to a particular liquidity pool, I could be earning that additional MinSwap tokens, which over in time will increase in value, such as Uniswap has, such as PancakeSwap has, all these other really popular decentralized exchanges on Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. And you can see that the price of these tokens have increased over time. And as a result, people have made a nice return on their investment for providing liquidity. So it's another really cool way and another really early opportunity for people to get in on, to be able to provide liquidity, get on these decentralized exchanges, and to earn that extra potential reward and income from these decentralized exchanges. So if you think maybe like in the early days when projects just start off and you're buying into a brand new cryptocurrency, and as it gets popular over time, the price of it increases. That is the scenario that's happening right now with a lot of these decentralized exchanges. Some of these exchanges are pulling in value and liquidity from other blockchains, such as Ethereum, and converting them over from Ethereum over to Cardano. And that's a pretty cool thing. There's a huge amount of value and wealth, I guess, one way to call it, on the Ethereum blockchain, and to be able to provide a bridge from Ethereum over to Cardano and provide that swappability between the value of Ethereum to the Cardano blockchain will mean that people can bring over a particular token, provide liquidity on the Cardano blockchain, and provide also that value, drawing that value away from Ethereum and bring it over to Cardano as well. So I'm seeing huge amounts of potential here. It's still so early in the Cardano ecosystem's lifespan, and some of these bridges and opportunities that are going to bring in value from other ecosystems is really exciting too. So this is another really cool strategy in regards to how you can potentially earn more on your ADA, more on your rewards to increase the amount that you have to potentially retire on. So one, we have the general staking of your ADA to a stake pool, a well-performing stake pool that will give you that nice 5.5% return per annum and give you a nice amount to retire on. Then two, we have the liquidity pools that are opening up on these decentralized exchanges and the possibility to earn a lot more off these liquidity pools by providing that liquidity and then taking on the rewards that come from them. Of course, this is a lot more complex in terms of the liquidity pools. Please check out the previous episodes about these decentralized exchanges where we go through how they actually work and the type of rewards that you get from them. So please check that out. This is a very broad overview of decentralized exchanges. Now, the last thing that we need to look at is some of these DeFi protocols in regards to loans. So some of these projects that are coming out, such as Liquid Finance or Meld, or even some of these stable coins that are going to be appearing very soon, can provide extra value in terms of yield farming. So when you are providing some of your value in terms of a stable coin or a cryptocurrency such as ADA to one of these DeFi protocols to be lent out to someone else, it will get locked into a smart contract. So this smart contract will look at the amount that you have and give you back a certain return. Now, this type of return will be based on the fee that the other side of the loan, where someone is borrowing cryptocurrency to do trading, is. So on the borrowing side of things, the interest rate might be 3%, and as a result, you get 1.5% as a return. So that's just an example. But that person that's borrowing that cryptocurrency at 3% would have to pay that back in that smart contract after they've done all their trading or whatever, and hopefully they've made a return on their margin and can pay back their loan, their cryptocurrency, and also make a profit. So that's the idea of the borrowing side. And on the loan side, where you'll be providing that cryptocurrency for that trading, you will get a part of that fee back, and the protocol itself may take a part of the fee. So there's another aspect of loaning and borrowing that is going to be appearing on the Cardano ecosystem that you can participate in. So now we have three. So let's just quickly recap. You have your staking rewards, you have your decentralized exchanges and providing liquidity and getting rewards from that. So there's all sorts of things in regards to that. And then finally, you have the DeFi protocols where you could possibly loan people your cryptocurrencies and get a percentage interest return back. Right. So we have three possible strategies here, and we can go through each one of those to potentially earn more cryptocurrency, earn more fiat currency out of it after, in the end, to be able to retire on. Now, well, just like to put in the disclaimer here, this is not financial advice. Please listen to the disclaimer right at the end of the episode here, where this is purely for educational purposes, entertainment purposes. I'm here just to try and paint some scenarios and maybe open your eyes to more research in what you could possibly do to find out how you can earn more cryptocurrency, earn more fiat in the end. And it's all not financial advice. I just want to be very, very clear on that. These are just scenarios, and scenarios that I would possibly be looking at as well. To make this really easy, I've done a recent interview with Stephen or Wi-Fi, and we break down their ecosystem. Their ecosystem is pretty cool. I did a previous interview with him and Jack Caution. They talk about the entire Wi-Fi ecosystem, how it works, how they got started, and all the different aspects there. But this episode, this interview that I did, Stephen just breaks down each and every part: the auto harvester and aggregator, the liquidity pools, and also the hedge fund. Those three parts of how it works, and then also their bar and external ecosystem. So out of that entire ecosystem, you can see where you fit in and how you could potentially earn more rewards and a return on their ecosystem. It's a really cool setup and is made for all levels of experience when it comes to cryptocurrency. If you've never invested in cryptocurrencies before or don't know what you're doing, there is that hedge fund level where they're trying to create a raise or acorns version of cryptocurrency. All you need to do is deposit a certain amount of fiat currency every single week or every month, whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. Choose your level of risk, and then they take care of the rest for you. They convert it to a cryptocurrency. They provide it that liquidity to their liquidity pools or to their auto harvester, and then just provide you the returns in the end. So, that's the easiest way to get into it. But if you're really experienced, you can provide liquidity into the liquidity pools or use their auto harvester, which will provide ADA to a particular liquidity pool in the Cardano ecosystem so that you can get a return that way. So there are so many ways to get into the ecosystem, find a return, and plan for your retirement. I really hope this episode has opened your eyes to a couple of other possibilities other than just staking. Staking is absolutely fantastic, but the ecosystem is evolving. It's growing right now. I missed out on all of 2020 where the Ethereum blockchain provided all of this DeFi and decentralized finance and really opened up the world to a whole new way of buying and selling tokens. So it's a really cool way of doing it now. Decentralized exchanges are extremely popular and they're getting more and more popular at the moment. So please check out some of the interviews that I've done on our YouTube channel on all these decentralized exchanges. ADAOZ is another really interesting one where they're using an EAMM model, an extended automated market maker. It's really interesting concept and a really cool way of driving a decentralized exchange as well. So please check that out. Check out our YouTube channel. Leave a comment on this podcast episode. Go to the show notes. Try out the calculator yourself. I'm making continuous improvements to it so that we can work out these possible scenarios. I'm putting in automated price calculators in there, pulling in the price from CoinMarketCap, etc. So there's always new improvements that are going on there. There's a dedicated calculator page and a trimmed down version on this podcast episode page as well. So please check that out. Let me know. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment in the episode notes. If you really enjoyed this podcast episode, please consider leaving us that lovely 5-star rating and review on the Apple Podcast Network. It really helps the discoverability of the podcast and really helps other people find it as well. Now, I'll be also converting this episode into a visual YouTube video as well, so you can check that one out very soon too. But until next time, everyone, please make sure you keep your seed phrases safe and secure and keep them backed up. All right, bye.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debating. IOHK, Emergo, we're not affiliated, not Cardano Foundation. We just gotta say it. A show that you can learn and it's for your entertainment. Yeah, you gotta check it. Don't wanna be missing that. You were tuned in to the Learn Cardano podcast. Yeah, giving insight. Ain't another show like this when it come to crypto. Invest at your own risk. Might not be for everyone, but who it is for, we keep giving you some info and plenty more. Hey, yeah, the Learn Cardano podcast. Hey, yeah, the Learn Cardano podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Keep it locked right here. Let's go.